Everybody, welcome back. I have definitely missed seeing you all. Definitely. I'm Rachel and welcome back. It has been a few days. I just don't know what to say sometimes. But anyways, welcome back. What have I been doing the last few days? Well, in a previous video in one of my book hauls, I came across a book called I Am Malala. And today I am going to be giving you my spoiler slash opinions all over the book and the audio version. I did listen to the audio version. I bought it. There are some differences, but before I get all into that, I'm just going to talk about the book in general, the summary of it. It's about a girl named Malala, and she lives in Pakistan, and she stands up for women's education versus the Taliban. And like I said earlier, there are some spoiler alerts. But before I even get further into it, this is based on what I've listened to and what I've read. I didn't go into any other YouTubers about their opinions or anything like that. This is all based on me and what I have concluded the difference between the audio version and the book. I'm not going to get into too much detail, just the basic overview of them all. So, in the audio version, it's 10 hours long. The book, I started this yesterday and I finished it all in one day. It was a quick read for me. And if you don't want to read it, I did go on YouTube and I found some videos of people who were actually reading the book. They sounded pretty good too. So check them out if you just want to only listen to the book and not read the book, but you want to listen to it and you didn't want to listen to the audio version. So now the difference. In the audio version, they go in depth on her father, why he wanted to build a school, and how he had a partner with it, how it felt, how much it cost him just to get the school up and running, and all their worries about the school. Then it goes into her birth, and then it goes into some special events that had happened that had led up to the shooting. Then it goes into the history of Pakistan and a little bit on how it is what it is, and it gives you a glimpse of how it became what it became. In the book, they mention her father having a school. They don't go into the hardships of him almost being electrocuted. They don't go into the hardships of how many times the school actually got flooded and how much it costs to repair the school and how hard it is just to keep food on their plate and continue to giving food out to these students so they don't go to school hungry. It talks about how they gave 100 places for students from poor areas. In the audio version, they give you a different glimpse on the hospital scene too, like a way different glimpse on it. When the moment she got shot, then they explain all through the process on how she got to England, where the book, she gets injured and she wakes up in England, so now you gotta backtrack to find out how did she get to England. They also don't go into depth on everything either, on who was with her and that, what was it? On what's going necessarily on, where in the audio version, the doctors are, at first they're like, oh, it's minor, and then it goes into another hospital, this is serious, and then they had problems there, and all their discussions on where should we take her to America, the United Kingdom. They do end up going to England. But back onto other details, those are the major differences in the book. There are some minor differences, like the beginning of the chapter, she gives a little bit about herself, like how she doesn't like candy, but she likes cupcakes, she likes pizza, and you get a little, like, the beginning and the end of the book are more of the same. In the audio version, they're not the same feeling of the ending. And then they also give more on deaths on like the killings and how they were killed or how many bullets were shot. And then they also give you more in depth on other parts of events that happened in her life when she went on a field trip. They explain on how it felt going there, how it felt crammed with, and how they brought their own food and then realized that there wasn't enough food. So they got some water from the river and watered it down to make there look like there was plenty, but apparently it tasted awful because of the water, where they don't explain. They talk about that part, but they don't go into that for depth of stuff like that. They talk about going to, I can't remember the place, but they talk about going to it, and then they take photos, and afterwards they get a letter threatening them, saying, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, and then they just brush it off, where in the audio version they just go more in depth into everything. So that's my senses versus the audio versus the book. If I was only going to choose one, it's hard to say, because the audio book answers my questions. They was it hard to follow along? Yes, it was hard to follow along. At one point I had to go back and re-listen to it to making sure I got it all. In the book, it was easy to follow along, but it's left me with a lot of questions that the audiobook, I felt like, answered a lot of them. So I'm just going to leave it up to you guys. Do you guys like would you guys rather have like a whole bunch of detail on her father and how he built this, like why he started, how he built it, and how he got it up and running, some of the history on Pakistan, some more details and some stuff. Now the book also gives some details that are different. So in the audio version they explain how she felt weird to turn on the water and you get hot and cold, and how they had someone to help them learn how to use a stove and to turn on the TV, where in the book she talks about different stuff, like walking down the street one day and with her family, and one guy approaches them from their own country saying, hey, it's not safe here. They don't mention any of that in the audiobook. And then in here they mention her mom going to school for 5 days and learning how to speak English. They don't mention that in the audiobook either. So it's different. Yes, all the same information, but in certain areas they give you more information than others. And so, does it all end the same? Yes. Are they both good? Yes. Do I recommend them? Yes. But once again, I haven't yet decided on which one I like, the audio version or the book. So, the aftermath. I did some research. I stayed up way until almost 1 in the morning doing research on what's going on in her life currently and where she is. So, she goes around the world giving speeches. She has won multiple awards, and she actually has a film out. Now, the audiobook, it ends and it ends. They don't talk about her afterwards. The book has a little section afterwards saying what has happened within a year after the book has been published. And I read that one too, and then I even went further since this was published in 2015. Now it's 2020. So she still goes around. She lives in England. She's going to school. And she actually has a second book out called We Are Displaced. I found that last night. I was debating on not even doing this video because I was like, okay, well, I listened to it and then I read the book, and now there's a film out and there's a book called We Are Displaced. So I was like, should I wait until I get all that stuff? And I'm like, nah. I'll do a part 2 of this video after I get the film and then that one book, and then I read it all, and then I'll give you my conclusions on it all. But other than that, yes, this is definitely a book I would give to a young girl in middle school to high school and have them read it. It's really good. Definitely pick it up and decide on what kind of information would you want. And I do recommend, if you want to do both, I don't know if I would re-listen to audiobook and the book. I would just pick one or the other. The audiobook is pretty long. But yes, those, if I come up with any more thoughts I remember, I will make a part 3. But until I get those stuff in, this is going to be which one's better, the audiobook or the book. But other than that, my next book I plan to do, the audio versus the book, is on The Zookeeper's Wife. So I was informed that the audio version and the book version are different. And so I can't wait until I get into it. And yeah, I'm sorry about this video not being that long on the difference. There wasn't that much difference other than a little bit details, and how they told the story was obviously different, and the information, they give more information in the audiobook than the actual book, and that's really the big difference. If you like a lot of information, and because they do answer a lot of questions. But other than that, keep on reading, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.